Well, good morning, everybody. This is dear Mama Sal on a drizzly Thursday morning. It's been a very short week for me. For those of you who know my routine, you know Thursday is my Friday because I don't work on Fridays, and then I didn't work on Monday because we had a holiday. So I'm trying to fit 5 days work into 3 days this week. Plus, it's a very balmy 8 degrees. I'm just looking here, wow, which would translate into 46 American. Anyway, my bigger problem as well is that I have to leave work early today because I need to get to my doctor to refill some prescriptions. So it is what it is. I'm going to be overwhelmed for a couple of weeks. And as long as I know that and understand that and don't judge myself for it, that's going to be fine. You know, the main thing is to prioritize. I wanted to pick up on something I was talking about yesterday. One of the questions was, you know, what books? And, you know, I was thinking last night about this when I was driving home. And I thought, gosh, you know, what I didn't mention were the books that I think made a big difference in my life. In terms of the way I see things. And my sense was that probably a lot of you would like to know that. So I got to thinking about it, and from a business perspective, and I say a business perspective, but both the books I'm about to mention dealt with business, but also talked about how to be in business and keep a life going. I think the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People was a no-brainer. That brilliant book, and full of very good common sense about how to schedule your life, how to stop overwhelm. I really like that. For those of you who are entrepreneurs or would like to think about being one, a book called The E-Myth, M-Y-T-H, Myth, The E-Myth, E for entrepreneur. Brilliant. I just loved it because it made so much sense. Now, in terms of I got a different coffee mug today. Got a little bit of a problem with it. I'm going to find a place for it, and I'm not sure if I can. Anyway, I don't know what I did with my coffee mug. It must still be at work, in which case it will be delightful this morning. Never mind. In terms of books that impacted me on how I live my life, without a doubt, Richard Bach's Livingston Seagull. When I read that book, I actually first heard it on tape, and in the days when we had cassette players. Remember those days? What Richard Bach talked about in that story, and it was a story, by the way, it is a beautiful story about a seagull. And if you get a chance to actually listen to it, and it's probably on YouTube by now, I'm pretty certain, if you can hear Richard Burton's version of it, it will literally touch your soul. Richard Burton has a voice that really talks to the story, and so I would recommend that. For those of, and I think for those of you who don't fit in, that is a book. When I heard that story, I went, yep, I really relate to that. And when you hear the story, you will understand probably why I relate to that. And then I thoroughly recommend as you've heard me quote many times before, anything to do with Dr. Wayne Dyer. But only read Wayne Dyer if you're ready to if you really don't want sympathy, you want help. Because Wayne Dyer really does tell it like it is. I guess today's equivalent would be Dr. Phil. And you understand, because I'm that much older, the books I'm talking about were published some time ago. It doesn't make them any less relevant, quite honestly. But I hear that Dr. Phil has written some really good books as well. I haven't read them, but I believe that he's, written some really good ones about reality checks. I think the main thing when you're struggling with problems in your life is to find out, you gotta find out that maybe the world isn't the problem. Maybe the way you're seeing the world is part of the problem. And so I really found, I liked Wayne Dyer because he made me laugh at myself. And I still talk about him, 30 years later. It's I like to be able to laugh at myself rather than feel, overwhelmed with guilt about how I screwed up in places. And as you know, it is my wish that we all just take another look at ourselves and just chuckle and go, really? So, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Anything to do with Wayne Dyer, because I love the way he talks. For some of you, although it's a much more difficult read, The Road Less Travelled by Scott Peck. It's not a fun read, if you know what I mean. It's not amusing or anything. It's very dry in places, but has some good information in it. If you like to do your learning by parable, if you like, I think for those of you who might remember a book called The Celestine Prophecy, I better write these in the comments below, I guess. The Celestine Prophecy was a book that came out many years ago, and it was, very much, The Secret today is the equivalent, I think, of the Celestine Prophecy. And I'm pretty sure that The Secret is on YouTube as well. So I liked a guy called Maxwell Maltz. I think I'm correct in saying that he was a plastic surgeon. And what he found incredible was that he would do surgery on an already beautiful woman and make them even more beautiful, and they still wouldn't like themselves. And that's when he realized that the problem was more than skin deep, and started, I hope I've got this right. If I haven't, understand, I'm just trying to remember. But I always remember him telling that story, and that for some of us, we will never see ourselves as beautiful. And it has nothing to do with the way that we look. It has everything to do with our self-judgment. I'm a great believer that if you are in a position where you need help and can't afford to go to therapy or whatever, reading is a really good way to do that. I can remember a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Really helped me at a time when I was feeling very vulnerable and didn't feel I had any strength of purpose, and yet wanted to. It's a beautiful book, very simply written, and teaches you some strategies. For those of you who might I'm going blank now. I'm thinking about Melody Beattie on codependency. I was a codependent, which meant that I really did live my relationships through the other person. I didn't keep my own strength, if you like. And it was very difficult because I was very lonely and very miserable. And you know, when you spend your life trying to make other people happy, it's not a happy life. And I'm certain some of you know that. It took me a long time and a lot of work to realize that I really did need to make myself happy. And if anybody wanted to come along with that journey, that was fine. But otherwise, you know, really. So I got so fed up with turning myself into a pretzel. And I wonder if any of you relate to that. You know, it's just like, really? Anyway, so Melody Beattie writes some really good stuff on that. I'm just shaking my head. When am I going to learn that windshield wipers on a dry windshield are going to squeak? So anyway, those are a few books that I really was thinking about last night. I'm certain a lot of others will come to my mind. I heard this morning that there's yet another big snowstorm heading towards Boston. And it's just like, I mean, with blizzards and bitterly cold temperatures, so you Bostonians, you wrap up warm now, you hear. And I dread to think what's going to happen to all the roofs, because bad enough that they've got all the snow on the roofs, and now if you've got really cold temperatures, that's going to freeze solid. If that freezes solid, it's going to be, the weight of it's going to be even worse. Scary. A lot of damage. A lot of damage. So, best of luck, Bostonians. I'm not sure how the average homeowner gets all the snow off their roof. I guess you have to contract somebody to get it off, but they must be overwhelmed. A good time for entrepreneurs to go around and do that work, if they've got the right tools. And I would definitely say be very, very careful. The idea of going up there and trying to do it yourself, I think, would be almost criminal, because the dangers are so amazing in that if you don't have the right sort of ladder that hooks over the apex of the roof, and you don't start from the top down, and you know what I mean? It's just like, wow. Could be extremely dangerous thing. So be careful, people, please. And I thought, seeing as we are getting so close to this weekend, that we'd have a quick talk about Valentine's Day. And we have both male and female viewers. Which makes me think that we could have a discussion, because if you haven't already sorted out what you're giving for Valentine's Day, or what you'd like to receive, maybe this is the time to voice it, because when this goes up, you'll have at least another day. So I was wondering whether any of you would like to dig into your memory bank and go, what was the most meaningful Valentine's Day present to you? Can you remember? If you can't, it's okay. But I thought we'd give people some ideas. Not about what you can buy, but what you can dig in your memory bank and go, wow. I always remember this. And of course, having said that, I'm busy trying to dig into mine and going, can I remember anything specific? I don't think I can. Although I know I've had some incredible Valentine's Days in my life. So, if you can't remember, maybe we should start another discussion, which is, what do you think is a gift of love, as opposed to just spending money? And I say that because I can remember being in one relationship where really you could tell that they had just walked into a very high-end store and bought the first thing they saw, which was very expensive. But it didn't smack of love to me. Do you know what I mean? It smacked of convenience. Now, I know that sounds really ungrateful. But it just didn't have a lot of thought, I thought. So, we got enough viewers that are romantics that I'm pretty sure we'll get some input on that. What do you think? It's a great gift. Now, I'm pretty sure that a lot of guys sit there and scratch their heads and go, well, do roses do it anymore? And from what I can see, roses are not cheap, are they, today? It's almost like they work out they've got one day a year where they can really coin it, and they do. And I'm sometimes horrified at the price of roses, and I go, wow. And God forbid if you want red roses, of course. Now, how about the discussion? Do you like to get your presents privately or publicly? And I say that because I find it fascinating if somebody sends flowers to the office. Everybody in the office is going, ooh. Everybody in the office for a split second hopes it might be for them. And then somebody gets to go, na 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 na. That by me. So to me, that is always a good place to send flowers. Or a mystery present that's wrapped. But Valentine's Day is on a Saturday this week. Rats. But remember it for future. But if your Valentine works on Saturday, it's still a good thing. So I'd be interested to hear some of your comments on your memories of presents, and it doesn't have to be a present of physical proportions. Maybe somebody took you out to a very romantic dinner. That would also be, or to a very romantic something, picnic in the park. I don't know, whatever it was. If it had impact on, if it had impact, let's hear about it. All right, everybody, I wish you a very, very pleasant day. I want to just quickly mention, for those of you who might be watching for fairly new sort of viewers, welcome, first of all, and know that we do have quite a network of people who help people with issues. If ever you want to write to me, do so at dearmamasal@gmail.com. We do 4 broadcasts a week on 2 different channels, and we try and do it at different times of the day so that we catch the Europeans as well as the North Americans. And I'll put all the links below. We are on just about everything, I think. Not quite. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, all as Dear Mama Sal. Unfortunately, on Instagram, somebody took my name. So do not follow Dear Mama Sal on Instagram, because it's not Dear Mama Sal. They've even put up a picture of Benji and Judy and myself, or Benji, myself, and Juliana, I think. Anyway, so to try and validate it, and it's not true. So on Instagram, it's the real Dear Mama Sal. Again, the link is below. And we do have a blog page, which is dearmamasal.com. Don't forget to subscribe, and please, if you like the videos, make sure you click the like button below. And if there are any issues you'd like me to talk about, leave me a comment. I do obviously read them, and I try very hard to answer them all. And until the time that I physically can't answer them all, I will continue to do that. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others, but I do work very hard in my free time to answer the comments. I really value them. So, have a great day. I often think that love is what you make of it. It's not brought to you by somebody else, it's how you feel when you're near somebody else. Really? No comment. I had somebody who was just about to turn right in front of me for no reason at all, except they were not concentrating. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a wonderful day. Remember to love one another if you can, and if you can't, keep your mouth shut. Bye-bye for now.